Hello everyone, myself Assistant Professor Vatsal Patel from Civil Engineering Department working at Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technical Education and Research Center NAVSARI. Today we are going to discuss about ethics in engineering. So first of all, what is engineering ethics? So we will find out with two questions. So what is the meaning of term ethics? So the term ethics is derived from the Greek word ethos, that means custom, habit, character or disposition. Ethics is a systematic approach to understanding, analyzing and distinguishes matters of right and wrong, good and bad, and admirable and deplorable as they relate to the well-being of and the relationships among the human beings. When narrowly defined according to its original use, ethics is a branch of philosophy that used to study ideal human behavior and ideal ways of being. So, the branch of philosophical study that focuses on ethics is concerned with studying or building up a coherent set of rules or principles by which people ought to live. The theoretical study of ethics is not normally something that many people would regard as being necessary in order to conduct their everyday activities. In place of systematical examine ethical frameworks, most people instead carry around a useful set of day-to-day rules of thumb that influence and govern their behavior. Commonly, these include rules such as it is wrong to steal or it is right to help people in need and so on. Next, why ethics are important in engineering. Okay, so engineering is transforming science into useful products for human comfort. Engineering is something that engineers do, and what they do has profound effects on others. Ethics in engineering then is the ability as well as responsibility of an engineer to judge his decisions from the context of the general well being of the society. It is the study of moral issues that confront engineers and engineering organizations when some crucial decisions are taken. Engineering research and practice require that the task being performed considers all the pros and cons of a certain action and its implementation. So, professional engineering bodies like IEEE, ASME, IEI, etc., have evolved comprehensive ethic codes relevant to their respective professions based on the rich experience of their members. Independent organizations like NSPE have pre-planned values-based ethical codes applicable to all engineering professions. Teaching engineering ethics in academic institutions is undertaken largely through many case studies for creating awareness integratively among engineering students of all disciplines. By studying engineering ethics, the students develop awareness and assessment skill of the likely impact of their future decision on moral and ethical grounds. So next we are going to see scope of engineering ethics. So ethics is the study of moral principles that governs a person's behavior or conducting an activity. Engineering ethics is the rules and standards that govern the decision and action of an engineer as a professional. During their engineering study, the student received the knowledge of basic science and its application, problem solving methodology, and designing, but generally receives the little training in business practice, safety, and ethics. Engineers face situations where they have to deal with the many things which are not known to them as a result of a design of a new device or product. Before putting any designs into the market or implementing the new ideas, an engineer must see all the aspects, whether it will work well, its impact on the lives of people, it's working under different conditions and safety measures. So, an engineer can never be enough sure that the new design will not have detrimental change in the society or not harm at anyone at all. Hence, it is important for an engineer to be more imaginative and check all kind of possibilities. An engineer must apply critical and creative thinking here to make sure that a new design will work safely and will not harm anyone. So many important factors are there for this, like engineering is an experimentation for the good of mankind and is a notable factor involving far-reaching consequences. Ethical dilemmas make engineering decisions relatively difficult to make. Risk and safety of citizens as a social responsibility is a prime concern of an engineer. Technological advancement can be very demanding on the engineering skill in the global context. Moral values and responsible conduct will play a crucial role in decision making. The study of engineering ethics within an engineering program helps students prepare for their professional lives. A specific advantage for engineering students who learn about ethics is that they develop clarity in their understanding and thought about ethical issues and the practice in which they arise. The study of ethics helps students to develop widely applicable skill in communication, reasoning, and reflection. These skills enhance students' ability and help them engage with other aspects of the engineering program, such as group work or work placement. So, the scope of engineering ethics envelops desirable or diverse activities like engineering as a social experimentation, engineers' responsibility for safety, role of engineers, managers, consultants, etc., rights of engineers, moral reasoning and ethics theory, responsibility to employer, and global issues and concerns. So now we will move towards the accepting and sharing responsibility. There are various conceptions of responsibilities based on how engineers accept responsibility or what others expect them to do as a part of their responsibility. So, if we talk about this, the notion of responsibility is the central moral concept in engineering ethics. Responsibility in the moral or ethical sense is based on the ends to be achieved rather than the acts to be performed. Responsibility typically requires the application of the specialized knowledge that characterize a profession. Many ethical notions are applicable to professional ethics, but the notation that best captures the special moral situation of the profession is professional responsibility. So, if we talk about responsibility is exemplified by the statements such as engineers are responsible for the public safety or research investigators are responsible for the integrity of research. Required that the relevant expert knowledge be synthesized to achieve an end. They require judgment that only those who have mastered such knowledge can make. Responsibility is also used as a synonym for being accountable. In this sense, responsibility simply specifies to whom a rational agent must answer. For example, the CEO is responsible to the board, or say accountable to the board. So, acceptance of the responsibility means commitment of duties, and sharing responsibility means cooperation, help and assistance. By developing team commitment and cooperation in a work team, you are assisting the team to meet its goals and objectives. Work teams that are committed and cooperative are more likely to achieve the goals the business has set. Moreover, when harm is done, the responsibility is distinguished as intentionally causing harm like knowingly and deliberately, negligently causing harm like unknowingly but failing to exercise due care. Next, recklessly harm causing harm, having conscious awareness that harm may occur but neglecting it without any intention of causing harm. Okay, so if we talk about this, if managing ethics in both market and non-market environment is a strategic necessity today. Okay, so then who is responsible for institutionalizing ethics and administrating ethics in the organization? There is no ambiguity about the responsibility of law in a business enterprise. Law and legal compliances is the responsibility of the company who manages the legal affairs through the team in-house as well as external professionals. While a company may have to bear the consequences of legal violation for all practical purpose, the responsibility of maintaining law lies within the individuals who are made responsible and accountable for their action based on the authority delegated to each. However, for ethics, there is no line of authority and responsibility except that everybody in the organization recognize the need for it. So, who should be responsible for ensuring that all members of the organization follow the moral standard of the behavior in dealing within and outside the company? An organization comprises different layers of management with different responsibility. Then there are vertical structure within a company that are responsible for specialized function and processes. For example, design and development, planning and manufacturing, shipping and marketing, finance and accounting, etc., which are carried out by people with different attitudes, perception and value system. So how an engineer views her or his responsibility? So it includes mainly three types: minimalist view, reasonable care, and beyond one's duty. So if we talk about this, it is widely accepted that like management processes, ethics and ethical standard in an organization have to be built into the work culture, prolonged by the leadership, practiced by the way of leading by example, maintained and audited for the adherence, and coordinated among people and function as basic requirements for all employees. Leaders and managers have the responsibility to create a work environment and work culture that foster ethical practices. Everybody in the organization has to be in synchronized with ethical standard and practices. Otherwise, ensuring ethical behavior among all the employees in a big organization would be difficult. Yet the question remains, who is responsible for ethics, the company or the concerned employee? The ethics of an individual is the responsibility of that individual himself or herself. In other words, the unethical act, if any, should be done on his or her own accord and should not have been forced upon that employee. So, an employee may fail to adhere ethical standards of behavior under different circumstances while evaluating responsibility for a violation of ethics and its consequences. The process of moral reasoning should first ask if the omission was intentionally or done under an instruction from a higher authority, or if it was due to inability or simply a mistake. Here, if the concerned individual knew that the act was morally wrong, even if he or she was following the orders of a superior, then the individual cannot absolve himself or herself from that responsibility. This is because that individual had the right to judge if the order of the superior was ethically and morally responsible before accepting and executing the same. Okay. So there are number of signs or signals that indicate work team is responsible and sharing for their responsibility, like maintaining or increasing equality, reaching or exceeding production target, decreasing complaint from team members, limited conflict between team members, fewer workplace injury, etc. etc. Okay. So next we are going to see whistleblowing, like a right and a responsibility of an engineer. So whistleblowing is an act by an employee for informing public or higher management of unethical or illegal behavior by an employer or supervisor. There can be internal whistleblowing where an employee surpasses the immediate supervisor and reports to the higher management about the wrongdoing, and external whistleblowing where the employee reports the unethical practice of one's organization to either media or law enforcement authorities. Whistleblowing can be considered as the responsibility of the engineer to make other aware about the unethical practices which may harm the public. It is also the right wherein the engineer can be protected for the consequences that he might face. But whistleblowing must be done only when there is a dire need to do so. So, whistleblowing must only be done if you have already tried to put your point forward to your immediate authority and they haven't considered it seriously. So, there are many ways to encourage responsibility, like when team members don't take responsibility for their action. Some managers may just hope that the problem goes away. Others may try to remove these people from their team completely. Neither of these approaches is ideal. The situation is likely to get worse if you just leave it alone. While laying people off should be a last resort, especially if you are dealing with people who have the potential to be effective team members. Instead, your aim should be to provide your people with the skills and resources needed to do their job, and then to create an environment where it's easy for them to take responsibility for their decisions and actions. And yes, sometimes you all need to be firm and courageous, and sometimes your action will cause conflict. So next we are going to see barriers in responsibilities. So which mainly include self-interest, fear, self-deception, ignorance, different perspective, lack of authority, and groupthink. So the benefit of sharing responsibility is that increase team morale, make your team members feel important and appreciated, helps you do more and faster, lets you focus on being on the big picture, prepares your successors for leadership, contributes to the success of your entire organization, helps you to maintain your health by avoiding overwork, give you more experience. Okay. So next we are going to see responsible professionals and ethical cooperation. So first of all, what is profession? The work that requires sophisticated skills, the use of judgment and exercise of discretion, which is not routine and is not capable of being mechanized, and significant public good results from it. It is called a profession. So if we talk about this profession, ethics are a set of standards that are used for making decisions in the workplace. The use of ethics prevents professionals from taking advantage of other employees or the company. Employees who are ethical build trust and respect among others at the company, which can lead to more opportunity within the organization. So, the exercise of professional responsibility requires both competence and concern. The ethical dimensions of practicing compatibility is highlighted for engineers by the rule in many engineering codes of ethics that forbids engineers to accept assignments beyond their competence. Engineers working beyond their competence are for that reason alone considered to be acting unethically. Responsible engineering practice requires both competence and exercise of sufficient care to bring that competence to bear on a given problem. So, to be a professional, one requires extensive formal education and not simply training or apprenticeship. And there are societies or organizations that are controlled by members of the profession who set the standard of conduct for professional and admissions to professions. So, if we talk about this, ethical responsibility is of huge importance for professional and personal growth. Professional codes of ethics like the one ABET has for engineer are established to guide the everyday conduct of professionals such as engineer. ABET has set its professional and ethical responsibility outcome that are equivalent to National Society of Professional Engineers Codes of Ethical Conduct. The fundamental canons of the codes of conduct are we are going to see like hold paramount the safety, health and welfare of the public, perform services only areas of their competence, issue public statement only in an objective and truthful manner, act for each employer or client as faithful agent or trustee, avoid deceptive acts, conduct themselves honorably, responsibly, ethically, and lawfully so as to enhance the honor, reputation, and usefulness of the profession. So, there are professional ethics and code of conduct. Like professional ethics are principles that govern the behavior of a person or a group in a business environment. Like values, professional ethics provides rules on how a person should act towards other people and institutions in such an environment. Unlike values, professional ethics are often confined as a set of rules which a particular group of people use. This means that all those in a particular group will use the same professional ethics even though their values may be ununique to each person or unique to each person. So there are various ethical principles like ethical principles underpin all professional code of conduct. Ethical principles may differ depending on the profession. For example, professional ethics that related to medical practitioners will differ from those that relate to lawyers or real estate agents. However, there are some universal ethical principles that apply across all professions, which include honesty, trustworthiness, loyalty, respect for others, adherence to the law, doing good and avoiding harm to others, and accountability. So next we are going to see professional responsibilities. So it includes confidentiality, conflict of interest, environmental ethics, and computer ethics. So first of all we will see confidentiality. So in engineering, it is an engineer's obligation to keep the information of the employer and client confidential. Any information of an organization like test result and data, unreleased product and design, how the business is run, etc. can be used by competitor to gain advantage and hence must to be kept confidential in interest of the organization. Engineers working in government department, especially for defense industry, have even more stringent requirements to keep confidentiality. Next is conflict of interest. The engineer may compromise the need of the public for one's own interest, and this may result into various accidents occurring due to engineering or design failure. Taking bribes to give permission for work that is not within the code of ethics or illegal. Sharing the information of tender with a company where you have financial or other interest, or avoiding more work to go into the depth of the case are some example of giving into self-interest at the cost of public or organizational interest. Next is environmental ethics. The detrimental effects of use of technology has made the societies and corporations more alert about environmental ethics and hence have laid down various norms for the organizations and engineers to carry out their responsibility for environment protection. For example, there are standards for minimum level of certain gases and chemicals that are released by factories. Next is computer ethics. So, with the increasing use of computers in all fields, it provides a challenge of unethical use of it. Computers can be used for robbery, crime, and blackmailing others. There is privacy issue for the information about individuals and organizations. Moreover, hacking is used to access private information and change or destroy some important information. So, next we are going to see resolving ethical dilemmas. So, dilemmas is often engineers face situation while taking decision which are normally right or wrong. So, if we talk about this, what is an ethical dilemma? An ethical dilemma is a moral situation in which a choice has to be made between two equally undesirable alternatives. Dilemmas may arise out of various sources of behavior or attitude. Sorry. As for instance, it may arise out of failure of personal character, behavior, conflict of personal values and organizational goals versus social values, etc. An ethical dilemma exists when an organizational decision maker faces a choice between two or more options that will have various impact on the organization profitability and competitiveness. In situation of this kind one must act carefully to take a better decision. For example, a production manager, when asked to produce a commodity by his company, may face an ethical dilemma when he knows that it will harm the large number of customers who buy and uses the same. So, the outcome of an ethical decision cannot be predicted with any degree of accuracy or precision. We cannot be sure whether we have made the right decision, nor can anyone tell us so. There is neither a magic formula nor software available to find a solution to this problem. Even the smart business person do commit ethical mistakes while deciding business issue. In such cases, people have no other alternative but to think well and deeply before they make decision, and once decided to take the responsibility for such decision. So there are two methods to resolve to this dilemma, like line drawing and flow charting. So if we talk about line drawing, in this approach a line is drawn along which various examples and hypothetical situations are placed. At the one end is placed positive paradigm and the other negative paradigm. Then all the hypothetical situations and examples are listed and placed on the line at a distance based on how near it is to positive or negative paradigm. So let us see line drawing example. Take an example of a company that disposed a slightly hazardous waste by dumping it into a nearby lake. A residential area nearby the lake takes its drinking water supply from the lake. The average concentration of waste in the lake would be 5 parts per million, or say 5 ppm, and at this level there is no harm to the health of the consumers and they would not even be able to detect the compound in their drinking water. So for this, let's establish hypothetical examples which we should consider before taking decision. Number 1, true, at 5 ppm it is harmless. The taste of water may change. Second, the chemical can be effectively removed by existing equipment. Third, the company will have to purchase a new equipment to remove the chemical. Next, fourth one is occasionally personal people may feel sick, but it will not last for more than a week. And last one is equipment can be installed at sorry. Number 5 is equipment can be installed at the plant to further reduce the waste level to 1 ppm. So consider all these cases and draw the line, okay, and place according to the most significant one. So what is the advantages? So points toward the right contribute to ethical decisions. Okay, we can see here, and also we have listed all the cases. So see through it. If more points are on the left hand side, then we may not go ahead with the plan. But here the decision may not be completely perfect, as some situation depends on many factors which have not been taken into consideration. Moreover, this is not a foolproof ethical decision making method, as one may prove something to be correct when it is completely wrong. Hence, if not used honestly, it may fail. Next is flowcharting. Engineering students are used to flowcharting method of programming purpose used to solve ethical dilemmas. Provides visual picture of situation, helps to establish sequences, identify moral issues and consequences of actions. So let us see flowcharting example. So problem statement will be there. According to that, we have to take decision. There will be various decision, and finally the outcome. So decision are based on consequences or action. Okay, so this is the flowchart. So according to this, various decisions are taken. So next we are going to see making moral choices. So moral refers to the principles of right and wrong behavior. So if we talk about this, one of the defining features of an ethical conflict is that it involves being pulled between two or more objectives, values or ideals, which often strong emotional reaction. The completing objective or values may both be ethical in nature, as in the conflict between loyalty to a friend and duty to report that friend's unlawful behavior. In this type of situation, a moral or ethical conflict more than other conflict often has a strong emotional component. One of the challenges decision makers face in such a situation is the need to integrate their emotional reactions to different choice options with their evaluation of the possible or expected outcomes of this option. So following this definition of an ethical decision, ethical or moral decisions do not simply constitute a specific content domain of decision that parallels and complements other content domains. The factor that contribute to whether a specific decision is being taken as an ethical issue or a health or financial issue are themselves an important topic of empirical investigation that have implications for the ethical training and education. Morality can be defined as a system of judging acts in the light of an ideal or a code of conduct. So there are mainly 5 approaches which are mainly used: the utilitarian approach, the right approach, the fairness and justice approach, the common good approach and the virtue approach. So first of all, let us see the utilitarian approach. So the ethical action is one of the that balance good over harm. So example of terrorism is there. It deals with the consequences. It tries both to increase the good done and to reduce the harm done. If the benefit is more than the cost involved, then it can be considered to be morally correct. Next is the right approach. The ethical action is the one that best protects and respects the moral rights of those affected. This approach starts from the belief. The debated list of moral rights. It is often said that rights imply duties, in particular the duty to respect other rights. Next is the fairness or justice approach. All equals should be treated equally. People are paid more based on their hard work or the greater amount that they contribute to an organization. Debate over CEO salary, etc. The common good approach is there. So, the interlocking relationship of society are the basis of ethical reasoning and that respect and compassion for all others. Give attention to the common conditions that are important to the welfare of everyone. So, this may be systems of laws, effective police and fire departments, healthcare, a public education system, public recreational area, etc. And the last one is the virtue approach. So it is a very ancient approach. Ethical actions ought to be consistent with certain ideal virtues that provide for the full development of our humanity. Examples of virtues are honesty, courage, compassion, generosity, tolerance, love, fidelity, integrity, fairness, self control, and prudence, etc. So ask yourself, what kind of person will I become if I do this? Or ask if this action consistent with my acting at my best. So this is the top stages of moral development where the thinker feels a sense of justice for the persons. The thinker has great moral values that he keeps himself free from the external factors that might influence his thinking process. So here I end my session. Thank you all of you.